Welcome. I'm Magnus, and I bring you horror stories to help you relax, or maybe to keep you up at night. Tell us where you're from. Are there spooky forests nearby? If you're a fan of scary stories, subscribe and drop a like. Get cozy, and let's begin. My name is Elliot Mercer, 34 years old, and I never thought I'd end up living in a cabin outside of Bloomington, Indiana. After my tech startup failed and my divorce finalized within the same month, I needed to escape. My cousin Vivian had been living off-grid for years in her deceased grandfather's property in the dense forest near Lake Monroe, and she invited me to join her. There was also Wesley, her boyfriend of 2 years, a quiet guy with extensive hunting knowledge, and occasionally Vivian's childhood friend Nadine, who visited from Indianapolis. The cabin itself was surprisingly comfortable: solar panels, a well for water, and enough land to grow vegetables. We were about 6 miles from the nearest paved road, reachable only by a dirt path that became nearly impassable after heavy rain. The isolation felt like exactly what I needed to reset my life after everything fell apart. Those first few weeks, I slept better than I had in years, the forest silence wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. I spent my days helping Vivian expand her garden while Wesley handled hunting and security. He'd installed motion sensor lights around the perimeter, claiming they were for deer and coyotes, but I sometimes caught him scanning the tree line with a disturbing intensity. When I asked about it, he just muttered something about keeping watch and changed the subject. I chalked it up to the natural paranoia that develops when you live this far from civilization. The disturbing dreams started about a month in. Always the same. I was wandering through the forest at night, following distant chanting, until I reached a clearing where hooded figures surrounded something I couldn't quite see. I'd wake up in cold sweat, the dream lingering in that unsettling way that makes you wonder if it was really just a dream. I mentioned it casually to Vivian once, and the look that passed between her and Wesley sent a chill down my spine. One evening while collecting firewood, I discovered a crude symbol carved into a massive oak tree, a circle with strange markings I didn't recognize. It looked old, the edges weathered, but something about it felt wrong. When I showed Wesley a photo on my phone, his face drained of color. "Where exactly did you find this?" he demanded, his voice tense. Before I could answer, Vivian came in, and he quickly changed the subject, deleting the photo from my phone when he handed it back. The next day, I noticed Wesley and Vivian whispering intensely by the shed. They stopped abruptly when they saw me approaching. "Just discussing winter preparations," Vivian said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. That night, I heard them leave the cabin around midnight. Curious and increasingly uneasy, I followed at a distance, flashlight off, moving as quietly as possible through the pitch-black forest. After 20 minutes of careful tracking, I spotted their flashlight beams in a small clearing ahead. Crouching behind a fallen tree, I watched as Wesley dug a hole while Vivian arranged objects I couldn't make out in a specific pattern. The moonlight caught something metallic. Was that a knife? My foot slipped, snapping a twig. They both froze, and I held my breath, praying they hadn't heard. After a tense minute, they continued, but I'd seen enough. I retreated back to the cabin, heart pounding, unsure what I'd witnessed, but certain it wasn't innocent. I didn't sleep that night, sitting up with a kitchen knife beside me, jumping at every sound from the surrounding forest. When they returned before dawn, I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, Vivian announced that Nadine would be arriving that afternoon for a weekend visit. There was something in her voice, anticipation mixed with an emotion I couldn't identify, that made my skin crawl. Wesley barely looked at me as he cleaned his hunting knife with methodical precision. I spent the morning fighting an overwhelming urge to flee. Something was clearly wrong here, but I had nowhere to go, and my car hadn't been started in weeks. I decided to search the cabin while Vivian and Wesley went to collect Nadine from the meetup point at the edge of the property. In their bedroom, tucked beneath Wesley's side of the mattress, I found a leather-bound journal. The pages contained drawings similar to the symbol I'd found in the woods, along with what looked like ritual instructions written in a mix of English and something else, Latin maybe. The final pages described a renewal ceremony that required 4 participants and occurred during the autumn equinox, which, I realized with horror, was tomorrow. One passage stood out. The vessel must come willingly, but need not know their purpose. Vessel? A cold dread settled in my stomach as I heard tires on the gravel outside. I quickly replaced the journal and slipped out, my mind racing with scattered, terrifying thoughts. Nadine wasn't what I expected. Where Vivian was earthy and Wesley rugged, Nadine arrived in designer hiking boots and expensive outdoor gear. "The signal out here is horrific," she complained, checking her phone constantly. But underneath her polished exterior, I caught glimpses of something else. The way her eyes lingered on me with calculation, how she seemed already familiar with the cabin's layout despite Vivian claiming this was her first visit in years. That night, over dinner, the three of them shared stories that seemed to contain hidden meanings, laughing at parts that weren't funny. I woke suddenly at 3 a.m. to find Nadine standing in my doorway, just watching me. When I sat up, she smiled. "Sorry, got turned around looking for the bathroom," she whispered, but I'd already shown her where it was, in the opposite direction from my room. I couldn't fall back asleep afterward, the weight of unseen danger pressing down on me. In the morning, I overheard Wesley telling the women, "Everything's ready for tonight," before they noticed me and fell silent. I made an excuse about gathering mushrooms and ventured into the woods, really seeking cell service to call for help. After climbing a ridge about a mile from the cabin, my phone finally showed 1 bar. Hands shaking, I dialed 911, but before it connected, a voice behind me said, "Reception's tricky out here." I spun around to find Wesley, rifle casually held across his chest. "Vivian's looking for you. Says she needs help preparing for tonight's celebration." His smile didn't reach his eyes as he gestured for me to head back down the hill. Throughout the day, they kept me busy with endless tasks, chopping wood, preparing food, cleaning the cabin, never leaving me alone for more than a few minutes. They were being careful, too careful. Around sunset, Vivian handed me a cup of homemade blackberry wine. "A toast to new beginnings," she said, the three of them watching expectantly. The wine tasted bitter, and I pretended to drink while actually letting it spill into my sleeve when I lowered the cup. Something in their eager expressions told me I'd made the right decision. As darkness fell, my head started spinning despite barely drinking the wine. They must have put something in my food too. Fighting to stay alert, I watched them transform, donning dark robes pulled from Wesley's hunting pack, lighting strange-smelling candles around the cabin. "It's time to go to the sacred place," Vivian announced, her voice taking on a ceremonial tone I'd never heard before. Through increasingly blurry vision, I saw Nadine checking a sharp ceremonial dagger, testing its edge with her thumb. They led me into the forest, supporting me as my legs grew heavier with each step. The trees seemed to warp and breathe around us, an effect of whatever drug they'd given me. After what seemed like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes, we reached a clearing I recognized from my dreams. In the center stood a stone altar, ancient and covered in moss, impossible to tell if it was placed there or had somehow grown from the forest floor itself. As they guided me toward it, my foggy brain finally connected the pieces. I wasn't their friend or family. I was the vessel. The clearing was illuminated by torches placed in a perfect circle, their flames unnaturally steady despite the light breeze rustling through the trees. With horror, I realized we weren't alone. At least a dozen robed figures stood silently among the trees, their faces hidden in shadow. How long had this been going on? How many others had been brought here before me? My limbs felt like lead as Wesley and a stranger helped me onto the cold stone altar at the center of the clearing. "Don't fight it, Elliot," Vivian whispered, her face hovering above mine, transformed by the firelight into something barely recognizable. "You're helping us maintain the balance. This forest has protected our community for generations, but it requires payment." Her fingers traced a symbol on my forehead with something wet and warm. With dawning terror, I realized it was blood. Animal blood, I desperately hoped. Nearby, Nadine was arranging objects around my body: bones, feathers, small cloth pouches of herbs, and crystals. Wesley began chanting in that same strange language I'd seen in his journal, the others joining in until the clearing resonated with their voices. The sound seemed to take physical form in my drugged state, wrapping around me like chains. I struggled to move, to scream, but my body betrayed me, responding only with weak twitches. Above me, the night sky began to change, or at least it seemed to through my compromised perception. The stars were rearranging themselves, forming the same symbol that had been carved into the tree. Through my haze, I noticed something strange happening to the robed figures. As their chanting intensified, their forms seemed to shift and blur at the edges. What I had taken for shadows cast by their hoods now looked more like emptiness, as if their faces simply weren't there. One turned slightly, and in the torchlight, I caught a glimpse of what should have been a face but was instead a swirling darkness that made my mind recoil in primal fear. The knife appeared in Nadine's hands, its blade reflecting the firelight with an unnatural gleam. "With this offering, we renew our covenant," she intoned. "Blood of the willing for continued protection." Willing? I wanted to scream that there was nothing willing about this, but all that escaped my lips was a pathetic whimper. Vivian misinterpreted my sound as acceptance. See, he understands the honor being bestowed. The circle of chanters moved closer, their non-faces turned toward me in hungry anticipation. The drug was wearing off just enough for terror to fully take hold. In desperation, I focused every ounce of my remaining strength on my right arm. As Nadine raised the dagger above me, I managed to swing my arm up, knocking her hand away. The knife flew from her grasp, landing somewhere in the darkness beyond the altar. "He resists," someone hissed, sounding more annoyed than concerned. Wesley barked orders. "Hold him. The alignment is almost perfect." Strong hands pinned my limbs as I thrashed weakly. Through the confusion, I heard a new sound, branches breaking, underbrush being trampled. Someone was running toward us from the forest. "Stop! Police!" a voice shouted, and suddenly flashlight beams cut through the darkness. The cultists scattered in panic, their ceremony disrupted. A figure rushed to the altar, a woman in a sheriff's uniform, gun drawn. "Department got a 911 call from this location earlier," she said, helping me sit up. I remembered my aborted call when Wesley had found me on the ridge. In the chaos that followed, I learned the horrifying truth. The sheriff, Ellen Bryce, had been investigating disappearances in these woods for years. Hikers, campers, and people like me who had come to live with relatives they'd met online but had never actually met in person. Vivian wasn't my cousin. We'd connected in an off-grid living forum, and she'd constructed an elaborate backstory, even creating fake social media profiles and doctored family photos. The real Vivian Mercer had died 15 years ago, in these same woods. As Sheriff Bryce helped me to my feet, my drug-addled brain struggled to process the revelation. "They've been luring people here for years," she explained, supporting my weight as we moved away from the altar. "This cult believes they're feeding some entity that lives in these woods, something they think protects them and their way of life." A wave of nausea hit me as I remembered Wesley's journal. How many vessels had come before me? The sheriff radioed for backup, her voice echoing strangely in the clearing. We hadn't made it 20 yards when a blood-curdling scream came from the darkness ahead. Flashlight beams revealed one of the deputies sprawled on the ground, a robed figure crouched over him. But it wasn't Wesley or Vivian or any human cultist. The thing's limbs bent at impossible angles, its movements jerky and insect-like. Sheriff Bryce fired 3 shots, the gunfire deafening in the night air. The creature shrieked, a sound that made my eardrums feel like they might rupture, before scuttling off into the underbrush. "Run!" the sheriff shouted, half dragging me as we changed direction. The effects of whatever they drugged me with were fading, replaced by adrenaline that made my heart feel like it might explode. Behind us, more inhuman screams joined the first, coming from all directions now. What the hell was that? I gasped as we stumbled through the forest. "I don't know," she admitted, her professional composure cracking. "In 15 years, we've found cult members, we've found remains, but we've never seen whatever those things are." We reached a Forest Service road where a police cruiser waited. As we scrambled inside, something heavy landed on the roof with a sickening thud. Claws, or were they fingers, began to dent the metal above us. The sheriff threw the car into drive, tires spinning in the mud before catching hold. The thing clung on as we accelerated, its face suddenly appearing outside my window, a twisted approximation of human features, like clay molded by a child, with too many eyes blinking in asynchronous rhythm. I screamed as it smashed a limb through the window, glass showering over me. Sheriff Bryce swerved violently, throwing the creature off balance. It clung to the door frame with unnatural strength as she drew her gun with one hand, steering with the other. She fired twice through the roof, and the thing released its grip, tumbling away into the darkness behind us. "Don't look back," she ordered, but I couldn't help myself. In the red glow of the taillights, I saw not just one but several misshapen figures emerging from the tree line, giving chase before falling behind as we gained speed. The sheriff's radio crackled with static and desperate voices. Her backup team was under attack at the clearing. "They're not human," a male voice shouted before dissolving into screams. Sheriff Bryce tried to respond, but only static answered. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel as she pushed the cruiser to its limits on the narrow, winding road. "I've been investigating these woods for years," she said, voice tight. "People thought I was crazy when I suggested something supernatural was happening here." We reached the main highway, and she didn't slow down, blowing through a red light at an empty intersection. Only when we were 20 miles away, approaching the brightly lit outskirts of Bloomington, did she ease off the accelerator. I was shaking uncontrollably, delayed shock setting in. "They weren't sacrificing to something in the woods," I managed to say, the revelation hitting me with sickening clarity. "They were transforming into it. That's what the ritual was for, not to feed something, but to become something." Sheriff Bryce nodded grimly. "The oldest reports I found date back to the 1870s. Every few decades, people go missing in those woods in cycles. Whatever they're becoming, it's not a quick process." She pulled into the hospital emergency entrance. "These things have been evolving, hiding, taking new victims when they need to replenish their numbers." Before I could respond, medical personnel surrounded the vehicle, alerted by the sheriff's call ahead. As they helped me onto a gurney, I caught one last glimpse of the sheriff. She was staring back toward the forest we'd escaped, her expression haunted. The hospital was a blur of bright lights, concerned faces, and endless questions. Blood tests confirmed I'd been drugged with a complex mixture of hallucinogens and sedatives. Physical evidence backed up my story. The cuts from the ritual preparations, the glass cuts from the shattered window, and most convincingly, a non-human claw broken off in the car door frame. But by morning, something had changed. Officials I didn't recognize arrived, speaking in hushed tones with the local authorities. The sheriff wasn't among them. 24 hours later, the official story had been established. I'd been drugged and assaulted by a survivalist cult in the woods. The creatures were just people in elaborate costumes designed to terrify their victims. Sheriff Bryce was on administrative leave pending investigation into her excessive use of force. The claw had vanished from evidence. When I protested, a psychiatrist gently suggested I was suffering from traumatic hallucinations enhanced by the drugs in my system. I was released after 3 days with a prescription for anti-anxiety medication and a recommendation for trauma therapy. No one would tell me what happened to the deputies who had been at the clearing or whether Vivian and Wesley had been caught. One nurse, checking my vitals on my last night, leaned close and whispered, "My brother-in-law works Forest Service. They found 3 patrol cars empty in those woods, no bodies. Sheriff Bryce is missing too." Before I could ask questions, she was gone, replaced by a different nurse who avoided eye contact entirely. With nowhere else to go, I used my remaining savings to rent a cheap motel room in Bloomington. I spent days researching, discovering that the area had a long history of disappearances dating back to when the first European settlers arrived. Indigenous legends spoke of a forest that hungered, of people who went in and came out changed. Every couple of decades, the pattern repeated. People vanished, strange sightings were reported, then everything would go quiet again for years. A week after my escape, I woke to find a small package outside my motel room door. No postmark, no return address. Inside was Sheriff Bryce's personal notebook and a hastily scribbled note. "Had to disappear. They're looking for both of us now. Not just cult members, but government people too. They know what's out there and have been covering it up. The transformation can be reversed if caught early enough. That's why I saved you. But I'm too late. Already changing. Stay away from Indiana forests. They can track their own." The handwriting deteriorated toward the end, becoming increasingly jagged and inhuman. Her notebook contained years of meticulous research, locations of similar incidents across the country, all in remote wooded areas, all followed by cover-ups. The final pages included photographs that made my blood freeze. A close-up of her own arm, the skin hardening into something resembling bark, fingers elongating into the same claw-like appendages I'd seen through the car window. I burned the notebook that night, watching the pages curl and blacken, unable to bear the knowledge it contained. I left Indiana the next morning, driving west without a destination in mind. At a gas station in Illinois, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror and noticed something that stopped my heart. A small patch of hardened skin at the base of my neck, just barely visible above my collar. In the harsh fluorescent light, it looked almost like tree bark. I told myself it was just a rash, an allergic reaction to something at the motel, but deep down, I knew. They had started the ritual. They had marked me. And whatever was happening to Sheriff Bryce was beginning to happen to me too. Now I'm in a motel room in some nameless town, writing this as a warning. Every day, the patch grows larger. My fingers ache constantly, the joints stiffening, stretching. Sometimes when I sleep, I dream I'm standing in a forest clearing, but I'm not me anymore. I'm one of them, waiting for the next vessel to be brought before us. I've tried everything. Doctors, experimental treatments, even a desperate attempt at an improvised counter-ritual based on scraps of information from online occult forums. I've accepted that there's no stopping this transformation, but I can still choose how it ends. Tomorrow, I'm driving to the most remote, uninhabited area I can find, a desert where no one goes, where there are no trees for miles, nothing that whatever I'm becoming could sustain itself on. I'm bringing gasoline, matches, and enough painkillers to ensure I don't feel what comes next. If you find this account, know that the forests of Indiana harbor something ancient and patient, something that wears human faces until it doesn't need to anymore. And most terrifying of all, something that's spreading. My name is Deirdre Kovac, 29 years old, and I moved to Richmond, Indiana 6 months ago to escape my suffocating life in Chicago. After a mental breakdown following my father's suicide, I needed somewhere quiet to rebuild myself. The abandoned hunting cabin I purchased sight unseen on the edge of Whitewater Valley sat on 15 acres of dense woodland, perfectly isolated and dirt cheap. The realtor had seemed almost desperate to sell it, practically throwing in the surrounding land as a bonus. I should have questioned why, but desperation clouded my judgment. The first month was peaceful. Just me, my rescue dog Otto, and the gentle rhythm of nature. I spent my days fixing up the cabin, installing solar panels, digging a new well, and planting a small vegetable garden. My neighbors were few and far between. The closest was an elderly man named Howard who lived about a mile down the road. He brought me fresh eggs occasionally, always leaving before sunset with the same warning. These woods get mighty dark at night, miss. Best to stay inside. I laughed it off then, attributing his concern to small-town superstition. I'd left my therapy practice and patience behind in Chicago, but old habits die hard. I started keeping a detailed journal of my observations and experiences, a practice I'd often recommended to clients suffering from trauma. Writing helped make sense of the occasional uneasiness I felt watching the dense tree lean from my porch, especially at dusk when shadows seemed to move independently of the swaying branches. Otto noticed it too, his hackles rising as he stared into the gathering darkness, sometimes refusing to go out for his evening walks. The disturbing discovery came while I was expanding my garden in early spring. My shovel hit something solid about 2 feet down, not a rock, but something that gave slightly under pressure. Curious, I carefully excavated around it, revealing a decomposed burlap sack containing small, brittle bones. My first thought was that someone had buried a pet, but as I continued digging, I found more sacks, dozens of them in neat rows. Some contained animal remains, but others held objects that sent chills through me. Handcrafted dolls with human hair, glass jars filled with teeth, and small leather pouches containing dried herbs and what looked disturbingly like fingernail clippings. I called the local police, who sent a young deputy named Marcus to investigate. He photographed everything but seemed uncomfortable, repeatedly checking his watch as afternoon faded toward evening. "I'll file a report," he promised, hurriedly repacking the disturbing items into evidence bags. As he was leaving, he hesitated by his car. "Ms. Kovac, there are stories about this property. Old stories. The previous owner, Edward Krantz, was something of a local legend, not the good kind. Might be best if you stayed with friends for a while." When I explained I had no friends in Richmond, his expression darkened. "Then lock your doors at night. All of them." That evening after Marcus left, Howard appeared on my porch, agitated in a way I'd never seen before. They shouldn't have disturbed the gardens, he muttered, refusing to come inside. Old Krantz had an arrangement, kept things peaceful all these years. When I pressed him for details, he just shook his head. They'll be watching now. They'll know someone new is here. Before leaving, he pressed something into my hand, a small pouch similar to those I'd dug up, filled with strong-smelling herbs. Keep this with you. They don't like the smell. He was gone before I could ask who they were. That night, Otto's frantic barking woke me at exactly 3:17 a.m. I remember checking the time as I fumbled for my flashlight. He stood rigid at the bedroom window, growling at something in the yard. Through the glass, I saw them, 3 figures standing at the edge of my garden where I'd made the discovery. They were unnaturally still, facing the cabin. I could make out no features, just dark silhouettes against the slightly lighter background of the night sky. When I blinked, they were gone. Convinced I was experiencing sleep paralysis or a particularly vivid nightmare, I eventually drifted back to sleep, only to wake at dawn to find my garden completely replanted, every disturbed patch of soil meticulously restored as if I'd never dug there at all. I spent the morning checking my security cameras, installed during the renovation. Nothing. No sign of intruders, just occasional static interference between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. I called Deputy Marcus, who promised to drive by that evening, but sounded skeptical. Howard wasn't answering his door when I went to question him further. As I walked back home through the woods, I felt eyes on me from every direction. Twice I spun around, certain someone was following me, only to find empty forest. But on a massive oak tree alongside the path, something had been freshly carved, a complex symbol surrounded by smaller markings that looked like an ancient script. I took a photo, my hands shaking so badly I had to try 3 times to get a clear shot. When I got home, I found my front door unlocked and slightly ajar, though I was certain I'd locked it before leaving. Otto was unharmed, but cowering under my bed, refusing to come out even for treats. Nothing seemed missing, but everything felt subtly wrong. Chairs slightly out of position, books rearranged on shelves. On my kitchen table sat a small wooden box I'd never seen before. Inside was a yellowed photograph from what appeared to be the 1940s, showing a group of 7 people standing in front of my cabin. Their faces had been meticulously scratched out, except for one, a severe-looking man I somehow knew was Edward Krantz. On the back, written in faded ink, "The circle remains unbroken." I spent the night researching Edward Krantz, finding only sparse mentions in local historical records. Born in Germany in 1897, he immigrated to Indiana after World War I and purchased the cabin property in 1925. The county library's online archives described him as a folklorist and herbalist who lived as a recluse but occasionally treated locals with traditional remedies. He disappeared in 1962, presumed dead though no body was ever found. More disturbing were the gaps in records surrounding his property. No death certificate, no will, no sale documentation until 2010, when it mysteriously entered the market after decades of abandonment. Sleep evaded me that night, my mind racing with questions. Around 2 a.m., Otto began whining at the back door, his bladder apparently more urgent than his fear. Against my better judgment, I let him out, watching from the doorway as he nervously did his business. The forest was unnaturally quiet. No insects, no night birds, nothing but a heavy silence that seemed to press against my eardrums. As Otto finished and raced back inside, I caught movement at the tree line, not the shifting shadows from before, but deliberate motion. Someone was out there, moving parallel to my property line. Morning brought no relief, just a bone-deep exhaustion and growing paranoia. I called Deputy Marcus again, who finally admitted what I'd begun to suspect. The local police avoided my property. "It's not official policy or anything," he explained awkwardly. "Just tradition. Deputies who respond to calls out there tend to have bad luck afterward." When I demanded clarification, his voice dropped to a whisper. 3 suicides in the department since 1970, all after investigating disturbances at your property. Chief doesn't like us mentioning it. He promised to check county records for me, but warned it might take time. That afternoon, I drove into town, desperate for human contact and information. At the Richmond Historical Society, a librarian named Judith grew pale when I mentioned Krantz's name. She reluctantly pulled a file from a locked cabinet, explaining they kept certain local history separate from public archives. The file contained newspaper clippings about 7 missing persons cases between 1928 and 1961, all within a 5-mile radius of my property. Handwritten notes in the margins connected each disappearance to phases of the moon. The last page was a photocopy of a journal entry, presumably Krantz's, written in cryptic terms about maintaining the boundary and feeding the sentinels. When I returned home, Howard was waiting on my porch, looking haggard and frightened. "You've been asking questions in town," he said. It wasn't a question. "There are things you don't understand about this place, about what Krantz was doing here." He finally agreed to come inside, though he refused to sit, standing with his back to the wall, as if prepared to flee. Krantz wasn't just some hermit. The old-timers called him Der Grenzwater, the boundary keeper. These would sit on what he called a thin place, where our world and something else press against each other. Howard's explanation tumbled out in a disjointed narrative, stories passed down through generations about an ancient arrangement between early settlers and forest dwellers who predated them. Krantz had apparently taken on the role of maintaining this truce, performing rituals at specific moon phases that kept the boundary strong. The buried items I'd found were offerings, some from Krantz, others from families in the area who paid him to protect them. When Krantz disappeared, the rituals stopped, Howard explained. Things started coming through, small things at first, just at night, but they're getting bolder now. As if on cue, the lights flickered, and Otto began growling at the window. Dusk had fallen while Howard talked, shadows deepening around the cabin. Howard grabbed his coat. "I've said too much. They'll know. You need to decide what you're going to do, leave this place, or pick up where Krantz left off." Before I could process his bizarre suggestion, he was gone, hurrying to his truck without looking back. Through the window, I watched him drive away, headlights cutting through the gathering darkness. Just beyond where the light reached, I could swear I saw figures moving among the trees, keeping pace with his vehicle. That night, the scratching started, gentle at first, barely audible against the window panes, then growing more insistent. Otto huddled against me on the bed, trembling violently. I tried recording the sounds on my phone, but the recordings captured nothing but static. Around midnight, the power went out despite my solar system showing full batteries that afternoon. In the sudden darkness, I heard what sounded like whispering outside, not in English or any language I recognized, but with a rhythmic quality that suggested communication. I clutched Howard's herb pouch, its strong scent somehow comforting amid the terror. I must have fallen asleep despite my fear, because I woke to bright sunshine streaming through the windows and a heavy, copper-tinged smell in the air. Following the scent to my front porch, I discovered a freshly killed deer arranged in a precise pattern, its body intact but limbs positioned at impossible angles, forming a shape similar to the symbol I'd seen carved into the tree. More horrifying was the perfect circle of small animal carcasses, rabbits, squirrels, birds, surrounding my entire cabin, each one exactly 6 feet from the next. None showed signs of how they had died. No blood, no wounds, just glassy eyes staring at nothing. I was packing my bags, determined to flee, when Deputy Marcus finally arrived. His reaction to the macabre display wasn't what I expected, not shock, but resignation. "It's starting again," he said quietly, taking photos with a personal camera, not his department-issued one. When I demanded to know what he meant, he confessed that his grandfather had worked with Krantz, helping maintain what they called the balance. The ritual animals I'd found buried were part of a complex system of offerings that kept something ancient and hungry on its side of the boundary. Krantz's journal explained everything: the timing, the arrangements, the specific offerings. The department confiscated it in '63 after his disappearance. It's been locked in the evidence room ever since. That afternoon, Deputy Marcus returned with a weathered leather journal, smuggled out of the police evidence room at considerable professional risk. "I shouldn't be doing this," he muttered. "But those animals circling your house, that's a warning." The last time this happened was 1963, right before Krantz disappeared. The journal was written in a mixture of German and English, filled with detailed diagrams of astronomical alignments, botanical drawings, and ritual instructions. Most disturbing were the crude sketches of what Krantz called Die Wachter, the Watchers, elongated humanoid figures with 2 mini joints and hollow eyes. As we pored over the journal, Marcus explained his family's connection to the property. His grandfather had been part of a group of 7 local families who worked with Krantz to maintain the boundary. The way my grandpa explained it, this land sits on a sort of cosmic fault line. Native Americans knew it long before settlers arrived. They never built permanent structures here, just came to perform their own rituals at specific times. According to the journal, Krantz had discovered that certain arrangements of offerings, placed during precise lunar phases, reinforced the weakening boundary and satisfied whatever existed on the other side. The most terrifying revelation came toward the end of the journal. Krantz described how the entities had grown more demanding over time, no longer satisfied with animal offerings. The last entry, dated 3 days before his disappearance, mentioned the ultimate sacrifice that would permanently seal the boundary, himself. "I have made my peace with what must be done," he wrote. "Better one willing sacrifice than countless innocent lives." Marcus looked grim as he translated the final passages. "My grandfather always believed Krantz sacrificed himself voluntarily. That's why they never found a body." Night was falling as we finished reading, the forest outside already swallowed by shadows. Marcus insisted on staying, helping me secure the cabin, salting thresholds, hanging specific herb bundles at windows, and carving protective symbols into the door frames as the journal instructed. As he worked, he received a call from the station that drained the color from his face. "Howard Keller was found dead an hour ago," he whispered after hanging up. "Apparent suicide, hung himself in his barn. Left a note that just said they know I told her." I felt the blood drain from my face. Howard had died because he helped me. Before I could process this, Otto began barking frantically at the back door. Through the window, we saw them, 5 tall figures standing at the edge of the clearing, perfectly still and evenly spaced. Unlike before, they made no attempt to hide, standing boldly in the dying light. "Don't look directly at them," Marcus warned, pulling me away from the window. "The journal says eye contact is an invitation." We retreated to the center of the cabin, where Marcus hurriedly constructed a circle of salt and herbs from supplies we'd prepared. The scratching returned, now from all sides of the cabin, windows, walls, even the roof. Between scratches came that same whispering language, louder now and clearly coming from multiple sources surrounding us. Otto cowered in the circle, whimpering softly. Marcus consulted the journal frantically, searching for guidance. "The next ritual date is tomorrow night, the dark moon," he said. "If we can perform the offering correctly, it might buy us time to figure out a more permanent solution." The word offering hung in the air between us, its implications clear after what we'd read about Krantz's final sacrifice. Around midnight, the power failed again, plunging us into darkness broken only by our flashlights and candles. The temperature inside the cabin dropped precipitously, our breath fogging in the suddenly frigid air. Through the window, I could see frost forming on the glass despite the spring warmth earlier that day. The scratching intensified, taking on a rhythmic quality that seemed almost musical in its precision. Then, abruptly, it stopped. The silence that followed was somehow worse, heavy and expectant, like the moment before a lightning strike. The front door, which Marcus had secured with both physical locks and ritual markings, began to bulge inward as if under enormous pressure. The wood groaned, nails popping from their moorings one by one. Marcus pulled his service weapon but looked doubtful it would help. I clutched Krantz's journal to my chest, frantically scanning the final pages for anything we might have missed. And there it was, a passage I hadn't noticed before, partially obscured by a dried bloodstain. "The boundary requires balance. What comes through must be sent back, carrying the essence of this world to maintain equilibrium." Just as the door began to splinter, I made a desperate decision. Grabbing Marcus's hunting knife from his belt, I sliced my palm open and let blood drip onto the symbol Krantz had drawn on the final page. I pressed my bleeding hand to the journal and began reciting the phonetic German incantation written beside it. Marcus stared in horror but didn't interrupt. As I spoke the final words, the pressure on the door ceased instantly. Outside, an unnatural wind rose, carrying with it sounds like distant screaming. Through the windows, we watched as the figures at the forest edge contorted, their forms stretching and twisting before being violently pulled backward into the darkness, as if yanked by invisible hands. Dawn arrived with an eerie stillness, the forest seemingly holding its breath. My hand throbbed where I'd cut it, the wound refusing to close despite Marcus's first aid efforts. The journal had transformed overnight. The page where my blood had fallen now contained new writing in what appeared to be my own handwriting, though I had no memory of writing it. The message was simple: blood freely given opens the way. Blood forcibly taken breaks the covenant. Marcus looked troubled as he translated the German phrases interspersed throughout the new text. It says you've been marked as the new keeper. That's what Krantz called himself. We ventured outside cautiously, finding the circle of dead animals gone without a trace. No bodies, no disturbance to the ground where they had lain. The deer carcass from the porch had also vanished. Only dark, circular stains remained where each animal had been, the grass beneath already withering. Marcus collected soil samples, explaining that the department had similar samples from previous incidents, dating back decades. Maybe modern science can tell us something Krantz couldn't figure out, he said, though his tone suggested little hope. As he worked, I noticed a change in him. His earlier skepticism replaced by grim acceptance of our reality. By mid-morning, we had formulated a plan. According to the journal, the ritual needed to be completed by midnight during the dark moon, placing specific offerings at 7 points around the property that corresponded to what Krantz called thin spots in the boundary. Marcus would retrieve the necessary components from Howard's house, believing the old man had been preparing his own offerings before his death. I would stay at the cabin to translate more of the journal and prepare the ritual site in the clearing behind the house where Krantz had apparently performed his ceremonies. After Marcus left, I found myself drawn to the basement, a space I'd largely ignored since moving in, using it only for storage. Something about the quality of light coming through the small ground-level windows seemed wrong, the shadows too dense in the corners. The concrete floor bore faint stains in a circular pattern, and the walls were covered with the same symbols I'd seen in the journal, painted in what looked disturbingly like dried blood. In the center of the room stood a stone pedestal I'd assumed was for an old furnace, but now recognized as an altar identical to one sketched in Krantz's notes. I was examining the altar when I heard a noise from upstairs, Otto's warning growl followed by silence. Heart pounding, I crept up the basement stairs, finding the main floor empty and the front door standing open. Otto was gone. Panic rising, I called his name as I searched around the cabin. At the edge of the trees, I found his collar, the metal tags bent and twisted as if crushed by enormous pressure. Nearby, pressed into the soft ground, was a single footprint, elongated and narrow, with what appeared to be 6-toe impressions instead of 5. Fighting hysteria, I returned to the cabin and barricaded the door, trying Marcus's cell repeatedly with no success. The journal had mentioned these entities could disrupt electrical signals. Perhaps they were blocking communications. As afternoon faded toward evening, I continued preparing as best I could, grinding herbs from my garden according to Krantz's recipes and carving symbols into candles with trembling hands. The wound on my palm pulsed in sync with my heartbeat, the edges now darkened as if bruised. When I changed the bandage, I found tiny black veins spreading outward from the cut. Just before sunset, a truck came bouncing up my driveway. Not Marcus's police cruiser, but an older model pickup I didn't recognize. The man who stepped out was tall and gaunt, with a weathered face that suggested hard years. Name's Elias Keller. He called from a cautious distance. Howard was my uncle. Found something at his place you need to see. I hesitated, suspicious of this convenient arrival, but desperation won out. I invited him in, keeping the hunting knife within reach. Elias placed a small wooden box on my kitchen table, identical to the one that had contained the scratched-out photograph days earlier. Uncle Howard called me last week, sounding scared like I'd never heard him before, Elias explained, keeping his distance from the windows as he spoke. Said things were waking up in these woods. Said the new owner, you, had disturbed something that should have been left buried. The box contained old photographs and letters exchanged between Howard's father and Edward Krantz. One photo showed 7 men, including a younger Howard's father, standing around the stone altar I'd discovered in my basement. Each man held what appeared to be a small, mummified human hand. They called themselves the Boundary Keepers, Elias said grimly. 7 families, 7 bloodlines, tasked with keeping these woods safe. As Elias explained, I felt a growing sense of dread. According to family stories, Krantz hadn't sacrificed himself as his journal suggested. He'd been betrayed by the other families, who feared his growing power and connection to whatever lay beyond the boundary. They drugged him and performed the ritual with him as the offering, Elias said. But it backfired. Instead of sealing the boundary, it created a permanent tear. That's why the rituals had to become more frequent, more elaborate. They were compensating for what they'd done. The most disturbing revelation was that Howard had been the last surviving member of the original 7 families, until his death. As night fell, we heard a vehicle approaching, Marcus returning at last. But when he staggered through the door, I knew something was terribly wrong. His uniform was torn and dirty, his eyes wild with fear. "They took the journal," he gasped, collapsing into a chair. "Ambushed me on the road back. 3 of them, not human, pulled me right through the windshield." He showed us deep cuts on his arms and face. "They spoke to me, not in words exactly, but I understood. They said the boundary is failing completely. What came through before was just scouts. Tonight, during the dark moon, the way opens fully. Outside, the light faded with unnatural speed, darkness consuming the forest within minutes rather than the gradual twilight we should have had. Through the windows, we could see movement among the trees, not just at the edge of the clearing now, but advancing steadily toward the cabin. Dozens of tall, impossibly thin figures, moving with jerky, insect-like motions. Elias produced an old revolver from his jacket, checking the chambers with practiced efficiency. 7 bullets, he said quietly. 1 for each of the original families. Passed down through generations for this moment. What happened next still haunts my nightmares. The entities surrounded the cabin, their forms more visible now. Unnaturally elongated limbs, skin like weathered leather stretched too tight over misshapen frames. Their faces were the worst, almost human but with features in subtly wrong positions, eyes too large and entirely black, mouths that opened wider than physically possible. They made no attempt to break in, simply watching through windows and cracks in the walls, occasionally pressing a 6-fingered hand against the glass. Marcus huddled in the salt circle we'd made earlier, his courage broken by whatever had happened during his ambush. "We need to complete the ritual," Elias insisted, retrieving Krantz's journal from where Marcus had dropped it. "Not the way my ancestors perverted it, but the original way, the offering of essence, not life." He explained that his family had preserved Krantz's original teachings, passed down secretly alongside the official version maintained by the 7 families. The true ritual didn't require sacrifice, but rather a willing conduit, someone to temporarily bridge the worlds and restore balance. The catch was that this person would forever be bound to the boundary, unable to leave the area without weakening the seal. As midnight approached, the entities began a rhythmic tapping on every surface of the cabin, perfectly synchronized like a massive, alien heartbeat. The temperature inside plummeted until we could see our breath. Frost formed intricate patterns on the windows, not random crystals, but the same complex symbols found in Krantz's journal. The wound on my palm split open again, blood seeping through the bandage. "You're already connected," Elias observed grimly. "They've marked you as the conduit. It has to be you who performs the central role." The ritual required placing offerings at 7 specific points around the property, then a final ceremony at the basement altar. Each offering consisted of personal items from each of the 7 original families, mixed with herbs and my own blood. Elias had brought what we needed from Howard's house, small heirlooms preserved for generations. Marcus, though clearly terrified, agreed to help place the offerings while I prepared the central altar. The entities watched our preparations without interference, their black eyes tracking our movements through the windows. At 11:30 p.m., we split up to perform our tasks. I descended to the basement while Elias and Marcus ventured outside with the offerings. Through the small ground-level windows, I could see the entities parting to let them pass, not retreating, but creating just enough space for the men to move between their unnaturally still forms. I prepared the altar according to Krantz's original instructions, arranging candles in a specific pattern and mixing herbs with my blood in a stone bowl. The cut on my palm now pulsed visibly, the black veins spreading up my wrist and forearm. Minutes before midnight, Elias and Marcus returned, pale but alive. "They just watched us," Marcus whispered, his hands shaking so badly he could barely hold his flashlight. Didn't move, didn't try to stop us. We took our positions around the altar, Elias reading the incantation from Kranz's journal, Marcus standing guard with his service weapon, and me kneeling before the altar with both hands pressed against the cold stone. As Elias began chanting in German, the basement temperature dropped further, frost spreading across the floor toward the altar in intricate patterns. The moment the incantation ended, pain shot through my body, starting from my cut palm and radiating outward until every nerve ending felt like it was on fire. I couldn't scream, couldn't move, could only endure as something flowed through me. Through tear-blurred eyes, I saw the space above the altar shimmer and distort, reality itself seeming to fold and unfold like origami. Beyond that tear, I glimpsed something that my mind still refuses to fully remember. A landscape of impossible geometry, structures that hurt to look at, and entities far larger and more terrible than the ones that had surrounded our cabin. What happened next is fragmented in my memory. I recall Marcus screaming, firing his weapon not at the rift, but at something that had entered the basement from the stairs. Elias continuing the chant even as blood began pouring from his eyes and ears. My own body rising from the floor, suspended in midair as the rift pulsed and contracted. Then darkness, not unconsciousness, but a complete absence of light, sound, and sensation that might have lasted seconds or centuries. I woke at dawn, alone in the basement. The altar was gone, not destroyed or removed, but seemingly absorbed into the concrete floor, leaving only a smooth depression. My cut palm had healed completely, replaced by a raised scar in the shape of a symbol from Kranz's journal. Of Marcus and Elias, there was no sign, only their belongings left scattered near where they had stood. Outside, the forest was silent again, but not with the unnatural stillness of before. I could hear birds singing, insects buzzing, normal woodland sounds returning after an absence I hadn't fully registered until now. In the following days, I learned the cost of what we'd done. The boundary was restored, the entities gone, but I was now bound to this land as Kranz had been. Whenever I tried to drive more than 5 miles from the property, nausea and disorientation overwhelmed me, growing worse the further I went until I had no choice but to turn back. The black veins had faded from my arm, but whenever the moon waned toward darkness, they reappeared briefly, a reminder of my new role. Deputy Marcus and Elias were classified as missing persons, their disappearances joining the long list associated with these woods. I still live in the cabin, maintaining the boundary as Kranz's journal instructs. Each dark moon, I perform the necessary rituals, smaller now, simpler, no longer requiring blood or sacrifice, but merely acknowledgement and respect for the boundary between worlds. Sometimes, in dreams, I see Marcus and Elias, not dead but somewhere else, changed in ways I can't quite articulate when I wake. They watch me from that other place, their eyes now black and unblinking, their forms gradually becoming less human with each visitation. Howard's niece visits monthly, bringing supplies and checking on me. She understands the burden her family has carried for generations, the knowledge they preserved despite the corruption of the original 7. We're rebuilding the circle properly, identifying descendants of the other families who might share the responsibility. Some nights, standing on my porch watching the forest, I think I understand why Kranz chose this life. There's power in being the boundary between worlds, in knowing secrets few humans ever glimpse. But there's also profound loneliness in being tethered to a place few dare approach, in feeling the boundary thin with each dark moon and knowing only you stand between our world and what waits patiently on the other side. My name's Everett Klein, and I'm 34 years old. I'd had enough of city noise in Indianapolis, so I packed up and moved to a cabin deep in Brown County, Indiana. It's just me out here, surrounded by towering oaks and a silence so thick it feels alive. I wanted freedom, you know? No Wi-Fi, no nosy neighbors, just me and the land. I built this place myself, logs, nails, sweat. It's got a wood stove, a creaky porch, and a loft where I sleep. The nearest town, Nashville, is 20 miles away, and I only go once a month for supplies. This life's raw, real, but man, it's lonely sometimes. I grew up in a small town, so I'm no stranger to quiet. But out here, it's different. The forest has a pulse. At night, the trees sway like they're whispering secrets. I'm not superstitious, but I swear, sometimes it feels like something's watching. I shake it off, though. It's just me, my axe, and my old radio that barely picks up anything. I've got a neighbor, sort of. Lila Hensley, 42, lives a mile off. She's been off-grid for years, tough as nails, but guarded. We trade eggs for firewood sometimes. She's the only one I see out here. Lila's got this way about her, like she's seen things. She'll drop hints about keeping your wits in these woods, but never explains. I met her my first week when she showed up with a basket of apples. "Don't wander too far at night," she said, eyes sharp. I laughed it off, thinking she was just messing with the newbie. But her words stuck. I mean, what's out here? Deer? Coyotes? I've got a rifle, and I know how to use it. Still, I check my locks twice before bed. My days are simple. Chop wood, tend my garden, fix leaks. I'm no farmer, but I'm learning. Last week, I burned a whole pot of stew because I got distracted whittling a spoon. Typical me, always biting off more than I can chew. I wanted this life to be a fresh start after my divorce. City life chewed me up, spit me out. Out here, I'm rebuilding, piece by piece. But the quiet, it's heavy. Sometimes I talk to myself just to hear a voice. I'm not totally alone, though. There's Amos, this stray dog who showed up a month ago. Scruffy, gray, with one bad eye. He's my buddy now, follows me everywhere. I toss him scraps, and he sleeps by the stove. When he growls at nothing in the dark, I tell myself it's just animals. But it's creepy, you know? Like, what's he sensing that I'm not? I try not to think about it. I've got enough to worry about, like keeping my roof from caving in. The woods are gorgeous, don't get me wrong. Sunlight filters through the leaves, and the air smells like pine. But it's easy to get turned around out here. I got lost once, wandered for hours before finding my way back. My phone's useless, no signal. I rely on a compass and gut instinct. Lila taught me to mark trees with chalk to avoid getting lost again. "These woods don't forgive mistakes," she said. I nodded, but I didn't really get it then. I've been here 6 months now, and I'm settling in. But there's this nagging feeling, like I'm missing something. Maybe it's just adjusting to the isolation. I keep busy to drown it out, splitting logs, canning beans, reading old paperbacks. I found a journal in the cabin, left by the previous owner. It's mostly ramblings about weather, but some pages are torn out. Weird, but I didn't think much of it. I'm just trying to make this place home. Last night, I saw lights in the distance, flickering like a fire. Not Lila's place, it's too far west. I figured it was campers, but it's odd. This area is private land, and I've never seen anyone else out here. I told Amos to hush when he started barking. The lights vanished after a bit, and I went to bed. Probably nothing, right? But it was disturbing, like a crack in the quiet I've gotten used to. Today, I'm heading to Lila's to ask if she saw those lights. I'm not spooked, just curious. Okay, maybe a little spooked. This place is supposed to be my sanctuary, but there's something about these woods that feels off. Like they're holding their breath, waiting for something. I shake my head, laugh at myself. It's just me, Amos, and the trees. What's the worst that could happen? I'm trudging through the woods to Lila's, Amos trotting behind me. The air's crisp, but my stomach's in knots. Those lights last night, they're bugging me. I'm not paranoid, but out here, anything out of place feels wrong. The path's muddy from yesterday's rain, and my boots sink with every step. I pass a tree I chalk-marked last week, but the mark's smudged, like someone rubbed it. Weird. I shake it off, tell myself it's just the weather. But it's creepy, you know? Like the forest is messing with me. Lila's at her porch when I get there, sharpening a knife. She looks up, squints. "You're early," she says, like I'm interrupting. I mention the lights, ask if she saw them. Her face tightens, and she says, "Nope. Stay out of it, Everett." Her tone's sharp, not like her usual gruff friendliness. I push, but she just points at Amos, who's sniffing her yard like he's on a mission. "Keep that dog close," she adds. It's unsettling, her dodging me like that. Back home, I'm restless. Lila's warnings got me rattled, and Amos won't settle. He's pacing by the door. I decide to check my property line, see if I can spot where those lights came from. I grab my rifle, more for comfort than anything. The woods are quiet, too quiet. No birds, no rustling. It's like the forest is holding its breath. I find a clearing about a half-mile out, and there's a pile of rocks that wasn't there before. Stacked neat, like someone meant it. It's disturbing, like a marker for something. I'm no detective, but I know this ain't normal. I nudge the rocks with my boot, and a foul smell hits me. Rotten, like roadkill. There's nothing under the pile, just dirt, but my skin's crawling. I think of Lila's face, her warning. Should I go back, ask her straight up what she knows, or keep poking around? I decide to head home, mark the spot with chalk to find it later. Amos growls at the trees as we leave, and I swear I feel eyes on my back. It's probably nothing, right? That night, I'm cooking beans when the radio crackles, static, then a voice. It's garbled, but it sounds like someone saying, "Stay away." I freeze, heart pounding. The station's dead when I fiddle with the dial. I tell myself it's interference, but it's scary as hell. I lock the doors, check the windows. Amos is whining, staring at the wall. I'm starting to think moving out here was a mistake. City life sucked, but at least I didn't feel like this. Next morning, I find scratches on my door, deep, like claws, but too precise for an animal. My gut twists. I've seen bear marks. These ain't it. I grab my axe, start chopping wood to calm down, but I keep glancing at the trees. I'm thinking about those rocks, the smell, Lila's attitude. I decide to set up a few traps around the cabin. Nothing fancy, just tripwires with cans to make noise. If someone's out there, I'll hear them. I'm hauling water from the creek when I spot something caught in the brush, a scrap of cloth, blue, torn. It's not mine, and it's not Lila's style. My mind races. Campers? Trespassers? I stuff it in my pocket, decide to show Lila tomorrow. I'm trying to stay cool, but this is getting too weird. Back home, I double-check my rifle's loaded. Amos is glued to my side, and I'm grateful for him. Something's off, and it's not just my imagination. By dusk, I'm jumpy. Every snap in the woods makes me flinch. I'm thinking about my ex, how she'd laugh at me for freaking out. "You're not cut out for this," she'd say. Maybe she was right. I decide to keep a journal, write down everything. The lights, the rocks, the cloth. If something happens, someone will know. It's a grim thought, but it keeps me grounded. I'm not crazy. I'm just alone. As I'm writing, Amos bolts upright, barking at the window. I grab my flashlight, shine it outside. Nothing but trees. But then, way out, I see it. A flicker, like those lights from before, closer now. My heart's in my throat. I'm not imagining this. Something's out there, and it's not friendly. I sit up all night, rifle across my lap, waiting for whatever's coming. I'm up before dawn, eyes gritty from no sleep. Amos is still growling, low and steady, staring at the door. Those lights last night, they were too close, maybe a quarter mile out. I'm done waiting around. I grab my rifle, a knife, and the scrap of cloth from yesterday. I'm heading to Lila's, and I'm not taking no for an answer. The woods feel wrong today, air heavy like a storm's coming, but the sky's clear. Every step makes my gut churn. It's scary, like I'm walking into something I can't undo. Halfway to Lila's, I spot footprints in the mud. Not mine, not Lila's. They're big, deep, leading toward her place. My heart's hammering. I follow them, keeping low, Amos silent but tense. The prints stop at a ditch, and there's blood on the grass. Not much, but fresh. It's disturbing, like a warning. I think of that rotten smell by the rocks, the scratches on my door. I'm no hero, but I can't turn back now. I tighten my grip on the rifle. Lila's cabin's quiet when I get there, door ajar. That's not like her. She's paranoid about locking up. I call her name, but nothing. Amos whines, won't go inside. I step in, and the place is trashed, table flipped, dishes smashed. My stomach drops. There's a knife on the floor, blade stained red. It's horrifying, like a scene from a slasher flick. I back out, scanning the trees. Someone's been here, and I'm betting they're still close. I'm shaking, but I search her yard for clues. Behind the shed, I find a tarp half buried in dirt. I pull it back, and there's a shallow grave, empty but fresh. My mind's screaming. Was this for Lila? Me? I'm no detective, but this is bad. I think of the cloth in my pocket, the footprints. I'm starting to piece it together, and it's terrifying. I decide to head back to my cabin, grab my truck, and get to town. I need help. On the way back, I hear it. A scream, sharp and human, cut off fast. It's from the direction of my place. Amos bolts, and I'm running after him, heart pounding like a drum. The woods are a blur, branches snapping under my boots. I'm thinking of Lila, that empty grave, the blood. What if I'm next? I'm not ready to die out here. I slow down near my cabin, crouching low. Smoke's rising from my chimney. I didn't leave a fire going. I creep closer, and there's a man inside my cabin. He's tall, wiry, rifling through my stuff. He's got a hunting knife, and his boots match those prints. My blood runs cold. This guy's no camper. He's trouble. I'm frozen, watching through the window as he pockets my journal. It's creepy, like he knows I've been tracking him. Amos growls, and the guy's head snaps up. I duck, praying he didn't see me. I'm backed against the cabin, hard in my throat. I hear him moving inside, footsteps heavy. I could run, but where? Town's too far, and he's got my keys. I see them on his belt through a crack in the wall. I'm trapped. I think of Lila, wonder if she's dead. This is real, not some horror story I can laugh off. I decide to circle around, try to get to the shed for my axe. If he comes for me, I'm not going down easy. As I move, I spot something in the dirt, a photo, half torn, of me chopping wood. Someone's been watching me, long enough to snap this. It's sick, like a trophy. I stuff it in my pocket, my hands shaking. Who is this guy? Why me? I'm no saint, but I don't deserve this. I reach the shed, grab the axe, and crouch low. The door creaks open, and he steps out, scanning the trees. I'm holding my breath, axe heavy in my hands. He's calling my name, voice calm, like we're buddies. Everett, come on out. Let's talk. It's chilling, like he's enjoying this. Amos is trembling beside me, and I'm praying he doesn't bark. The guy's got my rifle now, slung over his shoulder. I'm outgunned, outnumbered by just one man. Something's horribly wrong, and I'm right in the middle of it. I'm crouched behind the shed, axe in hand, heart slamming against my ribs. This guy's still calling my name, his voice dripping with fake calm. It's horrifying, like he's playing a game. Amos is shaking, and I clamp his muzzle to keep him quiet. The guy's pacing my porch, my rifle glinting on his shoulder. I've got to move. Staying here's a death sentence. I decide to bolt for the dense woods. If I can lose him, I might make it to the creek, follow it to the road. It's a long shot, but I'm out of options. I whisper to Amos to stay close and sprint, keeping low. Branches snag my jacket, but I don't stop. Behind me, I hear him shout, "There you are." Footsteps pound the dirt. He's fast. It's scary as hell, like being hunted. I weave through trees, my lungs burning. I think of horror movies, how the guy always trips. Not me. I hit the creek, splash through ankle-deep water, and keep going. Amos is right beside me, a gray blur. The road's got to be close, maybe 2 miles. But the woods are thick, and I'm disoriented. I hear him crashing through the brush, closer now. I duck behind a fallen log, clutching the axe. My hands are slick with sweat. I'm thinking of Lila, that empty grave. Was she running too? It's disturbing how fast this turned into a nightmare. I spot a narrow ravine ahead. If I can cross it, I might lose him. I scramble down, rocks skittering under my boots. Halfway across, Amos yelps. I turn, and the guy's there, 20 yards back, raising my rifle. I dive behind a boulder as a shot cracks, splintering a tree. My heart's in my throat. This is life or death. I grab Amos, shove him into the ravine, and slide after him. The guy's cursing, reloading. I'm praying he's a bad shot. We hit the bottom, and I run, zigzagging to make myself a harder target. The road can't be far now. I'm gasping, legs like jelly, but I keep moving. The guy's still behind, but his footsteps are fainter. I think I'm losing him. Then I trip, classic, right? Over a root, and the axe flies from my hand. I scramble for it, but there's no time. Amos growls, and I see the guy's shadow through the trees. It's terrifying, knowing he's this close. I grab a rock instead, ready to fight. But he stops, like he's listening. I hold my breath, praying. A truck rumbles in the distance. Salvation. It's the road. I'm up, dragging Amos, sprinting toward the sound. The guy shouts, but I don't look back. My legs are screaming, but I break through the trees onto gravel. A pickup's coming, headlights cutting the dusk. I wave like a madman, and it slows. The driver's an old guy, face like leather. "You okay?" he asks. I'm panting, babbling about a killer. He tells me to get in, and I shove Amos in the back. We're peeling out, tires spitting gravel, and I'm watching the woods. No sign of the guy, but I'm not safe yet. The driver's radio crackles, talking about a manhunt nearby. Escaped convict, armed. My blood runs cold. That's him. It's horrifying, knowing I was his target. I tell the driver to head to Nashville, the nearest town. He nods, but his eyes keep flicking to me, like I'm the crazy one. I clutch the rock, just in case. In town, I'm at the sheriff's station, spilling everything. Lila, the grave, the photo, the guy. The deputy's skeptical, says they'll check it out. I'm exhausted, but I can't relax. Amos is curled up by my feet, and I'm wondering if I imagine half of it. But that photo's real, crumpled in my pocket. It's disturbing, proof someone's been stalking me. They let me crash in a back room, but I'm wide awake, listening for trouble. I'm staring at the ceiling, replaying it all. Did I lose him for good? Or is he still out there, waiting? The deputy mentioned Lila's cabin was empty, no body. That's good, right? But my gut says otherwise. I'm thinking about that grave, the blood. I want to believe I'm safe, but it's scary how fragile this feels. I pull out the photo, study it under the dim light. There's something in the background I didn't notice, a figure, blurry, watching me. My stomach twists. Morning hits, and I'm still in the sheriff's station, jittery from bad coffee. They found Lila, alive, thank God, hiding at a friend's in town. She says she saw the guy too, ran when he trashed her place. But the sheriff's got no leads on him. I'm relieved about Lila, but I'm not going back to my cabin. It's horrifying, thinking he's still out there. I decide to stay in Nashville, rent a room, figure out my next move. Amos is with me, and I'm clinging to that photo like it's evidence. I'm at a diner, picking at eggs, when Lila walks in. She looks rough, eyes hollow. We talk, and she admits she knew more than she let on. He's been around before, she says, voice low. Years ago, same kind of trouble. She didn't warn me, cause she thought he was gone. It's disturbing, her keeping that from me. I'm mad, but I get it, she was scared too. I show her the photo, point out the figure. Her face goes white. Lila says the figure looks like her old neighbor, Caleb, who vanished a decade ago. Everyone thought he died, but now she's not sure. My head's spinning. Is Caleb the killer? Or someone else? I'm paranoid, checking over my shoulder. The diner's crowded, but I feel alone. It's scary how this guy's turned my life upside down. I decide to give the photo to the sheriff, let them deal with it. I just want out of this nightmare. I'm walking to the station when I notice a guy across the street, tall, wiry, staring. My heart stops. It's him. I duck into an alley, pulse racing, but he's following, casual, like he's got all the time in the world. It's terrifying, like he's toying with me. I'm kicking myself for not staying put. I pull out my phone. Useless, battery's dead. Amos growls, and I'm running, weaving through back streets, praying for a cop. I hit a dead end, a brick wall looming. He's behind me, knife in hand, smiling. You're a hard man to kill, Everett, he says. I'm frozen, clutching Amos's collar. I throw the rock from my pocket, miss. He laughs, steps closer. It's horrifying, knowing this is it. I think of my ex, my cabin, all I wanted to build. Then, plot twist, he stops, cocks his head. You're not the one, he says, confused, like I'm the wrong guy. He turns to leave, and I'm stunned, but I don't think. I charge, tackling him. We hit the ground, his knife skittering. I'm punching, screaming, Amos barking. He's stronger, throws me off, grabs the knife. I'm scrambling, but he's on me, blade at my throat. Wrong guy, but you'll do, he snarls. It's cruel, this twist of fate. I'm begging, but he's cold, eyes empty. The blade presses in, and I'm fading, thinking of Lila's warning. I wake up, alive, somehow, in a hospital. A cop's there, says a passerby scared the guy off, saved me. My throat's cut, but shallow. I'm lucky, they say, but it doesn't feel like it. The guy's gone, no trace. Lila visits, guilt all over her face. She should have told me about Caleb, about the murders years ago. It's tragic how her silence cost me everything. My cabin's burned down, they say, arson. I've got nothing left. I'm lying in bed, staring at the photo I kept. The figure's clearer now, and it's not Caleb, it's Lila. My blood runs cold. Was she part of this, leading him to me? The cop said the killer was after someone else, but I was convenient. It's disturbing, this betrayal. I trusted her. My mistake was thinking I could outrun this horror. I'm alive, but I'm broken, haunted by her face in that photo. I'm leaving Indiana, starting over somewhere new. But I'm not the same. The woods took everything. My peace, my trust. It's cruel how a fresh start became a death trap. I keep the photo, a reminder of my deadly mistake, believing I could escape alone. Amos is all I've got now, and even he looks at me like he knows. The horror's not over. It's in me, and I can't shake it. I'm Maris Dunlap, 29 years old, and I'm living in a ramshackle cabin by Patoka Lake, Du Bois County, Indiana. I ditched Bloomington's hustle for this. Swamps, pines, and quiet so deep it hums. I'm not alone though. My cousin, Theo Brandt, 32, and his girlfriend, Veda Locke, 30, are with me. We're all in on this off-grid dream. Solar panels, rainwater tanks, the works. It's tough, but we're carving out a life. The lake's a mile off, and the nearest town, Jasper, is a 40-minute drive. We're out here to be free, but it's lonelier than I expected. Theo's the dreamer, always sketching plans for a bigger garden or a chicken coop. He's got this infectious grin, but he's sloppy, leaves tools everywhere. Veda's the practical one, a former nurse who keeps us fed and patched up. She's quiet, but her eyes miss nothing. We've been here 4 months, learning the ropes. I'm the fix-it guy, patching leaks, wiring lights. I used to be a mechanic, so I'm handy, but this swamp's a beast. The air's thick, and the bugs never quit. Our cabin's basic, wood walls, a propane stove, bunks in one room. At night, the swamp sings, frogs, owls, things I can't name. It's creepy sometimes, like the forest's alive. I'm not spooked easy, but I keep a machete by my bunk. Theo laughs, calls me paranoid. Veda just nods, like she gets it. We're tight, but isolation's weird. We bicker over dumb stuff, like who forgot to fill the water jugs. Still, we're making it work. The locals in Jasper warned us about these woods. Stay on your land, an old guy at the feed store said. I brushed it off, small town hocus pocus. But Veda's been edgy since we found a weird carving on a tree near the creek. Swirls and lines, like a symbol. Theo says it's kids messing around, but it's unsettling. I've seen stranger things though. Last week, I found a dead raccoon, gutted clean, no blood. Nature's brutal, right? Days are busy. We're planting potatoes, hauling wood, trying to keep the swamp from swallowing our gear. I'm learning to love it. The ache in my muscles, the smell of wet earth. But I miss people, noise, a cold beer with strangers. Theo and Veda are great, but we're all we've got. Sometimes I catch Veda staring into the trees, like she's waiting for something. It's disturbing, but I don't ask. We all have our ghosts. We've got a system. I handle repairs, Theo builds, Veda cooks and tends the garden. It's not perfect. Theo burned a whole pot of soup last week, and Veda chewed him out. I laughed, but tension's building. Living like this strips you raw. I'm trying to stay positive, but the swamp's relentless. Mud sucks at my boots, and every chore takes twice as long. I tell myself it's worth it for the freedom. There's a guy who checks on us sometimes. Roland Fisk, 50s, a grizzled hunter who lives a few miles off. He's friendly enough, brings us fish, but he's cagey. Don't go past the old oak grove, he said once, pointing west. No explanation, just a hard look. I nodded, but Theo rolled his eyes. Roland's the only other soul we see, and I'm grateful, even if he's odd. He knows these woods better than us. Last night, I woke to a weird noise, not an animal, more like a low chant, far off. I lay there, heart thumping, telling myself it was a dream. Theo and Veda didn't hear it, but Veda looked rattled when I mentioned it. The swamp's full of tricks, but this felt different, like something watching. It's scary how fast my mind jumps to worst-case scenarios. I'm probably overthinking it. Today, we're fixing the solar panels. Storm knocked them loose. I'm up on the roof, Theo passing tools, Veda sorting wires. We're joking, trying to shake last night's weirdness. But I keep glancing at the trees, that carving stuck in my head. The swamp feels heavier today, like it's waiting. I laugh it off, but deep down, I'm uneasy. This is home, but it's starting to feel like something else. I'm knee-deep in swamp mud, yanking vines off the solar panels. The air's thick, and my shirt's soaked. Theo's supposed to be helping, but he's off chasing a loose chicken, again. Veda's sorting tools, but she's distracted, glancing at the trees. That carving we found's got us all jumpy. It's disturbing, like it's watching us. I try to focus, but last night's chant stuck in my head. Was it real? I shake it off, tell myself it's just the swamp playing tricks. But it's creepy, how this place messes with you. Theo stumbles back, chicken under his arm, grinning like an idiot. Got her, he says, but I'm annoyed. He's been slacking, leaving me and Veda to pick up the slack. We snap at each other, and Veda steps in, voice sharp. Enough. We're all tired. She's right, but the tension's thick. Living out here's hard. Every mistake costs you. Like yesterday, when Theo forgot to secure the water tank and we lost half our supply. It's frustrating, and I'm starting to feel trapped. I decide to check the creek for fish traps, clear my head. Veda tags along, quiet. The swamp's alive, bugs buzzing, water gurgling. We find another carving on a tree, same swirls, fresh. My stomach twists. Kids, I ask, but Veda's face says otherwise. It's scary how deliberate it looks. She mentions Roland's warning about the oak grove. Maybe we should check it out, she says. I'm torn. Curiosity versus common sense. I say we'll talk to Theo first. Back at the cabin, Theo's burning lunch, again. The smell's awful, and I'm losing patience. We sit, eat charred potatoes, and I bring up the carvings. Theo laughs, says it's nothing, but Veda's insistent. Something's off, Maris. Her voice is low, serious. It's unsettling how sure she sounds. I'm thinking of that chant, the dead raccoon. We decide to visit Roland tomorrow, ask what he knows. Theo's skeptical, but he agrees. I'm hoping Roland's just a weird old guy, not hiding something worse. That night, I'm fixing a leak in the roof when I see lights in the swamp, flickering, like torches, near the oak grove. My heart skips. It's horrifying how quiet they are, no voices, just movement. I call Theo and Veda, but by the time they look, the lights are gone. You sure? Theo asks, half asleep. Veda's wide-eyed, gripping her knife. I'm not imagining this. It's real, and it's close. I lock the door, check the windows, and keep my machete handy. Morning comes, and I find footprints outside. Bare, human, circling the cabin. They're fresh, stopping at my bunk's window. It's terrifying, like someone stood there, watching me sleep. I show Veda, and she's pale, says we need Roland now. Theo's finally spooked, grabs his shotgun. I'm thinking of horror stories, how the dumb guy ignores the signs. Not us. We're hiking to Roland's, but the swamp feels different today. Too still, like it's holding its breath. Roland's place is a mile off, and the trek's brutal. Mud, thorns, bugs. I'm sweating, paranoid, checking every shadow. Veda's quiet, clutching that knife like a lifeline. Theo's trying to joke, but it falls flat. We pass another carving, this one with ash smeared on it, like a ritual. It's disturbing how it's everywhere now. I'm starting to think Roland's warning wasn't just talk. What's in that oak grove? My gut says we're walking into trouble. Roland's cabin's dark when we get there, no smoke from the chimney. I knock, but nothing. The door's unlocked, and inside's a mess. Books scattered, a chair broken. My heart's pounding. Roland, I call, but it's empty. Veda finds a map on the table, the oak grove circled in red. It's scary, like he knew something. Theo's freaking out, says we should go back. I'm torn, search for Roland or head home. We decide to check the grove, just a quick look. As we leave, I spot something in the dirt. A bone, small, maybe animal, but carved with those same swirls. I pocket it, my hands shaking. It's horrifying how this feels like a trap. Veda's whispering about old stories, rituals in these woods. Theo's muttering about leaving Indiana. I'm trying to stay calm, but the swamp's closing in, and those lights last night, they're coming back tonight, I know it. We're in deep, and I'm not sure we're ready for what's out there. I'm leading Theo and Veda toward the oak grove, machete in hand, heart pounding like a drum. The swamp's too quiet. No birds, just our boots squelching in mud. Those carvings, Roland's empty cabin, that bone in my pocket. It's all screaming danger. Veda's clutching her knife, eyes darting. Theo's got the shotgun, but he's jumpy, tripping over roots. It's scary how fast this feels out of control. The grove's close, and I'm dreading what we'll find. I think of Roland's map, that red circle. Something's horribly wrong here. We spot the grove, massive oaks, twisted, like they're guarding something. There's a clearing in the center, and my stomach drops. Stones are arranged in a circle, smeared with ash and what looks like blood. It's horrifying, like a scene from a cult flick. Veda whispers, "This is bad." Theo's frozen, muttering curses. I see more bones, carved, scattered like offerings. It's a ritual site, no question. My skin's crawling, and I want to run. I'm circling the stones when I hear a hum, low, rhythmic, coming from the trees. It's the chant from last night, real and close. My blood runs cold. We gotta go. I hiss, but Veda's staring at a symbol carved into the ground, transfixed. It's disturbing how it pulls her in. Theo grabs her arm, but then we see them, Figures in the shadows, hooded, moving slow. They're surrounding us, silent, holding crude blades. This isn't kids or campers, it's a nightmare. I'm gripping my machete, backing toward Theo. Stay close, I whisper. The figures don't speak, just hum, their eyes glinting under hoods. It's terrifying, like they're not human. I count 6, maybe more. Theo raises the shotgun, but his hands are shaking. Veda's muttering about old swamp cults, stories she heard in Jasper. I don't care what they are, I just want out. The air's thick, oppressive, like the swamp's part of this horror. We're trapped in their circle. One figure steps forward, taller, holding a staff topped with a carved skull. He points at me, and the humming stops. My heart's in my throat. Leave, he rasps, voice like gravel. I'm stunned. Why let us go? But Theo's not waiting. He fires a warning shot into the air. The figures scatter, but not far. It's creepy, how they melt into the trees, still watching. We bolt, crashing through the swamp, branches tearing at us. I'm praying they're not following. We're running blind. The grove behind us, but the swamp a maze. Veda's panting, Theo's cursing, and I'm hacking vines with my machete. Every snap in the dark makes me flinch. It's disturbing how they let us run, like it's part of their game. I think of Roland, wonder if he's dead in that grove. My fault for pushing to check it out. I'm no leader, but I'm keeping us moving. The cabin's our only shot, but it feels miles away. I'm checking my compass when Veda screams. She's caught in a rope trap, dangling upside down, a net tightening around her. My heart stops. This wasn't here before. Theo's cutting her down, but I hear footsteps, heavy, circling us. The figures are back, closer, their hum starting again. It's horrifying how organized they are. I swing my machete at nothing, yelling for them to back off. Veda's free, but she's shaking, blood on her leg from the rope. We're stumbling toward the cabin, Veda limping, Theo reloading the shotgun. The humming's louder, like it's inside my skull. I'm thinking of horror movies, how the monsters always win. Not today, but the swamp's against us, mud sucks at my boots, fog rolling in. It's scary how fast we're losing ground. I see the cabin's outline, but there's a light inside. We didn't leave one on. My gut twists, someone's there, waiting. I'm crouching by the tree line, watching the cabin. A shadow moves inside, then another. The figures beat us here, or they've got friends. It's terrifying, knowing our safe haven's gone. Theo's whispering about fighting, Veda's begging to run. I'm torn, stand our ground or flee to the lake. The hum's closer, blades glinting in the fog. We're out of time, and whatever's in that cabin, it's not letting us go easy. I grip my machete, ready for a fight I don't know we can win. I'm crouched in the swamp, staring at our cabin, shadows moving inside. The ritualist's hum is closing in, blades flashing through the fog. It's horrifying, knowing we're surrounded. Theo's gripping the shotgun, Veda's limping, her leg bloody from that trap. The cabin's a trap, but the lake's our only shot. Maybe we can find a boat, get to Jasper. I whisper, we run now. Theo nods, Veda's shaking but agrees. We bolt, splashing through mud, the hum chasing us like a living thing. My heart's pounding, this is life or death. The swamp's a nightmare. Vines snag my legs, water soaks my boots. I'm hacking with my machete, clearing a path. Theo's covering our rear, Veda's between us, gasping. A figure lunges from the fog, and Theo fires, the blast echoing. The figure drops, but others keep coming, silent, relentless. It's scary how they don't stop. I'm thinking of Roland, his warning about the grove. We should have listened. The lake's close. I hear water lapping. We hit the shore, reeds towering, but no boat. My stomach sinks. The hum's louder, figures emerging from the trees. It's disturbing how calm they are, like they know we're done. Theo's out of shells, tossing the shotgun. I'm swinging my machete, yelling for Veda to hide. She ducks behind a log, but a figure grabs her, dragging her back. I charge, slashing, and he lets go, but my arm's burning. His blade nicked me. Veda's sobbing, and I'm pulling her toward the water. I'm wading into the lake, Veda clinging to me, Theo beside us. The water's freezing, up to my waist. The figures stop at the shore, humming, watching. It's creepy, like they're waiting for something. I'm praying they can't swim. We're heading for a dock I remember, half a mile off. My arm's bleeding, Veda's leg is worse, and Theo's panting like he's done. It's terrifying how close we are to breaking. I keep moving, whispering, "We're gonna make it." The dock's in sight, a rickety thing with a canoe tied up. Hope spikes, but then I hear splashing. Some of them are following, wading slow, blades raised. It's horrifying, their faces hidden under hoods. I shove Veda toward the canoe, help Theo untie it. We pile in, and I'm paddling like hell, my arms screaming. The figures stop, knee-deep, but their hum's still in my head. I'm praying the canoe holds. We're leaking, water seeping in. We're halfway across the lake, fog thick, when the canoe lurches, a hole bigger than I thought. Water's pouring in, and Veda's bailing with her hands. Theo's cursing, trying to plug it with his shirt. It's scary, how fast this is falling apart. I'm paddling harder, aiming for the far shore. The hum's fainter, but I see lights, torches, maybe, on the bank we're heading for. My heart sinks. Did they circle around? I don't know where to go. I'm exhausted, arm throbbing, but the shore's close. The canoe's sinking, so we abandon it, swimming the last stretch. We crawl onto mud, gasping, and I'm scanning for those torches. Nothing now, just darkness. It's disturbing how quiet it is. Theo's checking Veda's leg, and I'm tying my shirt around my arm. We need to find the road, get to Jasper. I'm hoping those figures gave up, but my gut says otherwise. We stumble inland, praying for a miracle. We're staggering through reeds when I spot a truck parked on a dirt path. Old, rusted, but it's our ticket out. I'm fumbling with the door, and it's unlocked, keys in the ignition. It's too good to be true, and that scares me. Theo's helping Veda in, and I'm cranking the engine. It sputters, then roars. I'm peeling out, tires spinning, heart racing. The road's rough, but we're moving. I'm checking the rear view, expecting those figures any second. We're a mile down the road, Jasper in reach, when I see it. A symbol painted on the truck's dash, same swirls as the carvings. My blood runs cold. This is their truck. It's terrifying, realizing we're not free. Veda's crying. Theo's yelling to keep driving. I'm flooring it, but the engine's choking, slowing. Headlights flash behind us, closing fast. They're coming, and we're out of tricks. I grip the wheel, praying we make it to town before they catch us. The truck's dying, coughing as we limp toward Jasper. Those headlights are gaining, and the hum's back, faint but real. It's horrifying, knowing they're this close. Veda's in the back, bandaging her leg with a rag. Theo's shouting to go faster. I'm trying, but the truck's done. It stalls a mile from town, and we're stuck. I'm kicking myself for trusting the truck, our deadly mistake. We pile out, running for the lights of Jasper, but my arm's heavy. Veda's slowing, and Theo's carrying her now. We're not gonna make it. We're in a ditch, hiding, when their truck stops. Figures step out, hooded, blades gleaming. It's terrifying, how calm they are, fanning out like they know we're here. I'm clutching my machete, whispering to Theo to stay quiet. Veda's shaking, her legs infected, I can tell. I'm thinking of our cabin, our dream, how it led to this. I decide to draw them off, give Theo and Veda a chance. I stand, yell, and run, waving my machete like a madman. I'm sprinting through the swamp, branches tearing at me, their footsteps close. It's disturbing how silent they are, just the hum. I'm leading them away, but I'm lost, my arms bleeding bad. I trip, fall hard, and my machete's gone. They're on me, circling, blades raised. I'm screaming, begging, but they don't speak. The leader, with the skull staff, kneels, carves that symbol into my arm. It's cruel, this ritual, marking me like cattle. I'm fading, pain swallowing me. I wake up, alive, tied to a tree in the grove. It's dawn, and the figures are gone. My arm's a mess, but I'm alone. It's scary, thinking they let me live. I'm working the ropes, frantic, when I hear Theo's voice. He's limping, bloodied, Veda slung over his shoulder. They got away, hid all night. I'm sobbing, relieved, but Veda's bad, fever's high, her legs swollen. We free me, and we're staggering toward Jasper, praying for help. We hit the road, and a farmer picks us up, drives us to a clinic. Veda's rushed to surgery, but it's too late. Sepsis takes her that night. It's tragic, her dying for our stupid dream. Theo's broken, blaming me for pushing to check the grove. I'm blaming myself too. My arm's stitched, but the symbol's scarred, a reminder of this horror. The cops search the swamp, find nothing. No figures, no grove, like it vanished. I'm not crazy though. I know what happened. Theo and I are in Jasper, crashing at a motel. He won't talk, just stares at Veda's jacket. It's disturbing how fast we fell apart. The cops say Roland's missing, probably dead. I'm haunted, replaying that grove, the hum. I'm thinking of my old life, how I thought I could outrun it. Living off-grid was supposed to save us, but it killed Veda, broke Theo. I'm carrying that bone from Roland's, carved, like a curse I can't shake. I'm leaving Indiana, going anywhere but here. Theo's staying, says he needs to find those figures, get justice. It's horrifying, watching him spiral. I'm begging him to come with me, but he's gone, lost in grief. My mistake was thinking we could handle the swamp, that we were tougher than it. It's cruel, how it took everything. Veda, our hope, our bond. I'm driving out, that symbol burning in my skin, knowing I'll never escape this. I'm at a gas station, miles away, when I see it. A car with that symbol scratched on the door. My heart stops. They're still out there, watching. It's terrifying, realizing this isn't over. I'm speeding off, checking my rear view, but the road's empty. I'm alone, but not really. The swamp's in me now. It's horror clinging like damp rot. I keep driving, but I know they'll find me, and I'm not ready for what's next. I'm writing this down, a warning for anyone dreaming of off-grid life. The swamp doesn't let go. It's tragic, how we thought we could win. Veda's gone, Theo's lost, and I'm running, scarred inside and out. My mistake was underestimating the swamp, thinking we could tame it. It's cruel, how it waits, patient, for you to slip. I'm alive, but I'm not free, and this horror's never leaving me. I'm Soren Vale, 37 years old, and I've been living in a cabin near Turkey Run State Park, Park County, Indiana, for 6 months. I left Chicago's chaos for this. Thick woods, rocky trails, and silence that hits like a fist. I'm not alone though. My old friend, Nia Carver, 35, and her brother, Gideon Carver, 33, are with me. We're chasing the off-grid life. No power grid, just a generator, a well, and grit. The nearest town, Rockville, is 15 miles away, and we trek there for supplies. It's freedom, but man, it's isolating. Nia's the heart of our trio, always cooking, keeping us laughing. She's a former teacher, tough but kind, though she's been quieter lately. Gideon's the muscle, a carpenter who built our cabin's frame. He's intense, always tinkering with traps for game. I'm the planner, handling logistics, fixing whatever breaks. I used to be an accountant, boring, right? Out here, I'm learning to live, but the forest's unforgiving. One mistake, and you're sunk. Our cabin's sturdy, log walls, a tin roof, a wood stove that's our lifeline. At night, the woods howl, wind, coyotes, things I can't place. It's creepy, like the trees are watching. I keep a hunting knife close, just in case. Nia teases me, says I'm jumpy, but Gideon gets it. He's seen stuff out here, though he won't say what. We're tight, but the isolation's grinding us down. We argue over chores, like when Gideon forgot to chop wood, and we nearly froze. The locals in Rockville are friendly, but weird about these woods. Don't stray past the ravine, a cashier told me, eyes hard. I laughed it off, but it stuck. Last week, we found a weird marker, a pile of stones by the creek, tied with twine. Gideon said it's hunters, but it's unsettling. I'm not superstitious, but I've noticed things. A deer carcass, too clean, no scavengers. It's like the forest's hiding something. Days are brutal. We're clearing brush, tending a small garden, hauling water. I'm beat, but I love the ache, it's honest. Nia's teaching me to preserve food, though I botched a batch of pickles last week. Gideon's building a smokehouse, but he's distracted, always scanning the trees. It's disturbing how he's on edge. We're trying to make this work, but the woods feel alive, pressing in. I tell myself it's just adjusting. We've got a neighbor, kind of Renholt, ASC, late 40s, lives a few miles off. He's a loner, ex-military, drops by with venison sometimes. He's gruff, knows the woods like his own skin. Stay sharp out here, he told me once, no smile. I nodded, but Nia thinks he's dramatic. He's helped us fix the generator, so I'm grateful, even if he's cagey. He's the only one we see, and it's nice to know someone's close, sort of. Last night, I woke to a noise, sharp, like a branch snapping, too close. I grabbed my knife, checked outside, but nothing. Nia and Gideon slept through it, but I'm rattled. It's scary how the woods play tricks. I'm probably imagining things, but I double-check the locks. This place is supposed to be my reset after a rough few years, but it's testing me. I'm tough though, I've got this. Today, we're repairing the well pump. Leaky, always breaking. Nia's humming, Gideon's cursing the bolts, and I'm trying to stay focused. But I keep glancing at the trees, that stone pile in my head. The forest's beautiful, golden light, crisp air, but it's heavy, like it's waiting. I laugh it off, tell Nia I'm fine. Deep down, though, I'm uneasy. This is home, but something's off, and I'm not sure what. I'm wrestling with the well pump, hands greasy, while Nia passes tools. Gideon's off checking his game traps, again. The forest's quiet, but it's got this edge, like it's holding its breath. That stone pile by the creek's been bugging me, and last night's snap didn't help. It's creepy, how this place messes with your head. Nia's humming, but her eyes keep flicking to the trees. I'm not the only one feeling it. I tighten a bolt, trying to focus, but my gut's telling me something's wrong. Gideon stomps back, empty-handed, face like thunder. Traps are busted, he growls. Not just empty, smashed, like someone took a hammer to them. My stomach twists. That's no animal. Nia's quiet, says maybe it's kids from Rockville. But out here, it's disturbing how deliberate it feels. We're bickering. Gideon's mad. I'm stressed. Nia's playing peacemaker. Living like this is raw, and we're cracking under it. I decide to check the creek, see if that stone pile's changed. Nia comes with me, leaving Gideon to sulk. The woods are thick, air heavy with pine. We find the pile, but it's bigger now, more stones, fresh twine. There's a smell, sharp, like blood. It's scary, like a warning. Nia spots a knife mark on a tree, deep, fresh. We should tell Ren, she says. I'm torn. Go to Ren or keep this quiet. I don't want to sound paranoid, but I'm spooked. Back at the cabin, Gideon's burning dinner. Charred rabbit, great. We eat in silence, the vibe sour. I mention the stones, the knife mark. Gideon scoffs, says it's nothing, but Nia's insistent. This isn't right, Soren. Her voice is tight, and it's unsettling how she's not joking. We decide to hike to Ren's tomorrow, ask if he's seen anything. Gideon's grumbling, but he's in. I'm hoping Ren's got answers, not more riddles. That night, I'm fixing a shutter when I see it, a flash in the woods, like a lantern gone fast. My heart skips. It's horrifying, how it's just there, then nothing. I call Nia and Gideon, but they miss it. You're tired, Gideon says, but Nia's eyes are wide. I'm not imagining this. I lock the doors, check my knife. The forest's too quiet, like it's waiting. I'm thinking of that cashier's warning, the ravine. What's out there? Morning hits, and I find scratches on the cabin door, shallow, like a blade, not claws. My pulse races. It's terrifying how close this feels. Nia's freaking out, Gideon's grabbing his axe. I'm thinking of horror movies, how the signs pile up. We're not stupid, we're going to Ren's now. I grab my knife, a flashlight. The scratches aren't random, they're a pattern, like a mark. It's disturbing how it feels personal. The trek to Ren's is brutal, rocky trails, thorns snagging us. Nia's quiet, Gideon's muttering about turning back. I'm leading, checking every shadow. We pass another stone pile, this one with feathers tied to it, black, wet. It's creepy, like a shrine. I'm starting to think the locals weren't joking. What's past the ravine? My mind's racing, picturing some psycho out here. We're exposed, and I'm regretting not bringing more gear. Ren's cabin's dark when we get there, no sign of him. I knock, and the door creaks open. Inside's trashed, table flipped, maps torn. My heart's pounding. Ren, I call, but it's empty. Nia finds a journal, pages scrawled with words like hunter and ravine. It's horrifying, like he was tracking something. Gideon's spooked, says we should head back. I'm torn, search for Ren or get safe. We decide to check the ravine, quick. As we leave, I spot a photo on the floor. Us, at our cabin, taken from the trees. Someone's been watching. It's terrifying, knowing we're not alone. Nia's shaking, Gideon's cursing. I pocket the photo, my hands sweaty. The forest's closing in, and those scratches, that flash, they're not random. Something's hunting us, and I'm not sure we're ready for it. We're heading to the ravine, but every step feels like a mistake. I'm leading Nia and Gideon toward the ravine, my knife gripped tight, heart hammering. The forest's too still, no birds, just our shaky breaths. Ren's trashed cabin, that photo of us, it's screaming trouble. Nia's clutching a stick, Gideon's axe glints in the dim light. It's scary how exposed we feel. The ravine's close, a jagged scar in the earth. I'm dreading what's down there, but we need answers. Those stone piles, the scratches, they're not pranks. Something's hunting us, and it's close. We reach the ravine's edge, and my stomach drops. There's a rope bridge, old, fraying, swaying over a 30-foot drop. Below, rocks and shadows. Gideon curses, says it's a trap. Nia's pale, pointing to a fresh stone pile on our side, blood smeared on it. It's horrifying, like a marker for us. I'm thinking of Ren's journal, Hunter. We're about to turn back when we hear it. A low whistle, human, from the trees. My blood runs cold. The whistle's closer, sharp, mocking. I spin, scanning the woods, but nothing. Move. I hiss, pushing Nia toward the bridge. Gideon's behind, axe raised. The bridge creaks under us, ropes groaning. It's terrifying, every step a gamble. Halfway across, I see him, a man, tall, lean, standing at the far end. He's got a bow, arrow knocked, face hidden by a hood. It's disturbing how still he is, like he's been waiting. Nia gasps, and I'm frozen, knife useless against that bow. Keep going, I whisper, heart in my throat. The man doesn't move, just watches. We're almost across when he raises the bow, aims. Gideon yells, and I shove Nia forward as an arrow hisses past, grazing my shoulder. Pain sears, but I'm running, dragging Nia onto solid ground. Gideon's behind, swinging his axe at the ropes. The bridge sways, but the man's already crossing fast. It's horrifying how he's on us, like a predator. We're crashing through the woods, branches tearing at us. The man's behind, whistling again, arrows thudding into trees. It's scary how precise he is, like he's toying with us. I'm bleeding, shoulder burning, but I keep moving. Nia's sobbing, Gideon's yelling to split up. Bad idea, but we're desperate. I grab Nia's hand, veer left, while Gideon bolts right. The whistling follows us, and I'm praying Gideon's okay. We're prey, and this guy's the hunter. I'm pulling Nia behind a boulder, both of us panting. The whistling stops, and that's worse. Silence means he's close. It's disturbing how he knows these woods. I'm thinking of horror movies, the dumb guy who hides and dies. Not us. My shoulder's bleeding bad, but I tear my sleeve, tie it tight. Nia's whispering about Ren, wondering if he's dead. I don't know, but that photo means this guy's been watching us for weeks. We need to get to the cabin, grab the truck. Peeking out, I see him, 30 yards off, scanning the trees, bow ready. He's got a knife too, strapped to his chest. It's terrifying how calm he is, like this is routine. Nia's shaking, and I'm trying to think. The cabin's a mile off, but he's between us and it. I decide we'll circle wide, avoid him. We creep low, moving slow, but a twig snaps under Nia's foot. His head snaps toward us, and I'm cursing inside. We're up, running again, his whistle chasing us. We're weaving through pines, my shoulder screaming, Nia gasping. The cabin's close, but I hear Gideon scream, sharp, cut off. My heart stops. It's horrifying, knowing he's hurt, or worse. Nia's crying, but I pull her along. We can't stop. The whistling's back, closer, and I see the cabin through the trees. The door's open, swinging. We didn't leave it like that. My gut twists, someone's inside, or he's luring us. I'm torn, go in or keep running. I'm crouching by the shed, Nia beside me, watching the cabin. The man's out there, I know it, waiting. It's scary, how he's turned our home into a trap. Gideon's scream echoes in my head, and I'm fighting panic. Nia's whispering we should head for Rockville, flag someone down. But the truck's in the shed, keys inside. If we can get it, we're gone. The whistling's faint now, but I see a shadow move in the cabin window. We're out of time, and whatever's waiting, it's not letting us go easy. I'm huddled by the shed, Nia trembling beside me, the cabin's open door taunting us. The murderer's whistle cuts through the silence, chillingly close. It's horrifying, knowing he's circling, his bow ready. My shoulder's bleeding, a burning mess, but I'm focused. Get the truck keys, get out. Gideon's scream still haunts me, but I can't think about him now. It's life or death. I whisper to Nia, stay low, follow me. We creep toward the shed, my knife shaking in my hand. The forest's a trap, and we're the prey. The shed's dark, the truck glinting inside. I'm fumbling for the keys on a hook when Nia gasps. An arrow slams into the wall, inches from my head. It's terrifying how close he is. I shove Nia behind the truck, dive for cover. His boots crunch outside, slow, deliberate. I'm thinking of horror movies, the killer always one step ahead. I grab the keys, heart pounding, and we crawl into the cab. The engine sputters. Please, start. He's at the door, shadow looming. The truck roars to life, and I'm flooring it, crashing through the shed door. An arrow cracks the windshield, spiderwebbing it. Nia's screaming, ducking low. It's scary, how he's still shooting, running after us. I'm swerving down the dirt path, trees blurring, praying the tires hold. The whistling fades, but my hands are shaking. Nia's sobbing, checking my shoulder. It's bad, blood soaking my shirt. Rockville's our only shot, but the road's rough, and I'm lightheaded. We're a mile out when I see Gideon's axe, lying in the dirt, blood on the handle. My heart cracks. It's disturbing, knowing he's gone, or close to it. Nia's crying harder, begging me to go back. I can't, we'll die. I'm pushing the truck, engine whining, but the gas gauge is low. Of course it is. This is life or death, and we're running on fumes. I'm praying for a gas station, a cop, anything. The forest's too quiet, like it's watching us fall apart. Headlights flash in the rear view. A Jeep, gaining fast. It's him. It's horrifying. How he's still coming, relentless. I'm swerving, trying to lose him, but the truck's sluggish. Nia's yelling to take a side trail, but it's narrow, risky. I do it anyway, branches scraping the sides. The Jeep's still behind, closer. An arrow hits the tailgate, and I'm cursing, flooring it. The trail's a dead end. I see it too late, a ravine looming. We're trapped. I slam the brakes, tires skidding. The Jeep stops, and he's out, bow raised. It's terrifying, his silhouette against the headlights. I tell Nia to run, jump the ravine if she can. We bolt, scrambling down the slope, rocks slipping under us. He's shooting, arrows whistling past. I'm helping Nia, my shoulder screaming, but we're moving. The ravine's shallow here. We cross, clawing up the other side. His footsteps are close, too close. We're in dense woods, weaving through pines, Nia gasping. The whistling's back, mocking us. It's disturbing, how he's enjoying this. I'm dizzy, blood loss hitting hard, but I keep going. We hit a clearing, and there's a ranger station. Lights on, a miracle. I'm banging on the door, Nia beside me. A ranger opens it, startled, and we're inside, collapsing. The whistling stops, and I'm praying he's gone. The ranger's calling for help, but I'm fading, vision blurring. The ranger's got a radio, calling cops, medics. Nia's explaining, voice shaking, murderer, arrows, Gideon. It's scary, how real this feels, no longer just us against the woods. My shoulder's patched, but I'm weak, barely listening as the ranger says they've had reports, a killer loose. I'm thinking of Ren, his journal. Was he hunting this guy? Sirens wail in the distance, and I'm hoping we're safe. But the station's windows are wide, and I'm watching the trees, expecting him. Cops arrive, take our statements. They're searching for Gideon, but my gut says he's dead. It's horrifying, losing him like this. Nia's curled up, silent, and I'm fighting guilt. I pushed us to stay, to fix the pump. The ranger says we can stay till dawn, then head to Rockville. I'm clutching my knife, staring at the door. The forest's dark, silent, but I know he's out there, waiting. We're alive, but it doesn't feel like winning, not with Gideon gone and that whistle in my head. Dawn breaks, and we're still at the ranger station, Nia's eyes hollow, my shoulder throbbing under bandages. Cops found Gideon's body, throat cut, left by the ravine. It's tragic, a gut punch. I'm choking back tears, blaming myself. Our mistake was staying out here, thinking we could handle the woods. The killer's gone, no trace, like a ghost. It's horrifying, how he vanished. Nia's barely speaking, and I'm carrying her grief and mine. We're heading to Rockville, leaving this nightmare behind. In town, we're at a motel, police asking questions. They found Ren, alive, hiding in Rockville. He says the killer's an ex-con, someone he tracked years ago, now hunting these woods. It's disturbing, how Ren knew and didn't warn us. Nia's furious, says we trusted him. I'm too tired to care. My shoulder's infected, and I'm on meds, but the real pain's Gideon. I keep seeing his axe, that blood. We failed him. I'm packing our stuff, Nia is staring out the window. The cops say the killer's likely gone, but I don't buy it. It's scary how he could be anywhere. I find a stone in my bag, like the piles twine around it. Did he leave it? It's creepy, a reminder he's not done. I toss it, but my hands shake. Nia wants to go home, back to Chicago. I agree, but I'm haunted. This forest took everything. Our dream's dead, and so's Gideon. We're at the bus station, tickets in hand, when Nia breaks down, sobbing for Gideon. It's cruel how this hit her hardest. She was his anchor. I'm holding her, feeling useless. My mistake was leading us out here, thinking I could plan our way to freedom. The woods don't care about plans. I'm thinking of Ren's journal, Hunter. That guy's still out there, and I'm checking every face in the crowd, expecting his hood, his bow. On the bus, Nia's asleep, and I'm staring at my reflection, scarred and gaunt. It's horrifying how I've changed. The forest in me now, its horror clinging like damp rot. I keep the photo from Ren's cabin, us at the cabin, unaware. It's a reminder of our stupidity, ignoring the signs, stones, scratches, whistles. Gideon paid for it, and we're broken. I'm vowing never to trust the wild again. We're back in Chicago, crashing at Nia's old place. It's loud, chaotic, but safe. Nia's seeing a therapist, trying to heal. I'm not there yet. Nightmares of arrows, Gideon's scream. It's tragic how we thought we could escape life out there. The cops call, say they found another body, same MO. He's still killing. It's disturbing, knowing he's free, maybe watching. I lock the doors, check the windows, knife by my bed. I'm working odd jobs, avoiding the news. Nia's distant, our friendship fraying. It's cruel how loss splits you apart. My shoulder's healing, but the scar's ugly, a map of that night. I'm haunted, replaying every choice, staying, going to the ravine. My mistake was thinking we were tough enough. The killer's out there, and I'm jumping at shadows, expecting his whistle. This horror's permanent, carved into us. I'm walking home one night, city lights bright, when I see it, a stone pile on the sidewalk, twine, just like the woods. My heart stops. It's terrifying, knowing he followed us, or someone did. I kick it apart, run home, lock the door. It's not over. The forest taught me that danger doesn't end, it waits. Gideon's gone, Nia's fading, and I'm alone, carrying this horror. I'm alive, but it's no victory. I'm writing this to warn you. Off-grid sounds free, but it's a trap. The woods don't forgive. It's tragic how we learned too late. My mistake was believing we could outsmart the wild. It's cruel how it took Gideon, broke Nia, scarred me. I'm not the same, and neither's the world. That killer's out there, and I'm waiting, knife in hand, for the whistle to find me again.